Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
This island is pretty much full of only two things: snakes and rats.
The fake dead grandmother could easily go down as the dirtiest thing ever to be done in this game.
I am the king, and I am back.
But I've got the $1 million check written already. I mean, I'm the winner.
The winner of the first Survivor competition is Rich.
Direct from Hobart, it's now time for the only dedicated radio show in Australia devoted to the hit TV show Survivor, bringing you the latest news and the biggest interviews from the king of reality television. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Survivor Oz, Australia's #1 TV and film podcast. The reason why Green Buffs are back in Survivor. And, of course, the reason why we keep squeaking by every single week. We are into our penultimate, our second last Oztopsy for the 29th season of San Juan Del Sur. Can you believe it? This time next week, we will have the 28th different winner of Survivor announced, and we will know what's happening for season 30. So much to get excited about, just like you're excited about for this Oztopsy. Especially when I introduce our first Ozlet on the line. His name rhymes with Boves and Snower. It's Noah Groves. Noah, welcome back to Survivor Oz.
Thank you, Hen. I don't even know. Thank you for me being here. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. And
I should just leave now.
Okay, see you bye. Joining us also, it is the man who gets on things that fly and puts two-legged birds on them because they're emus and whatever. It's Jarrod Lubeek. Jarrod, welcome back.
Thanks. I'm so confused, by this. Oh, okay. It's referencing the name.
Yes.
All good. I'm
Emu
there.
Planes. Just a question.
Sounds like something from The Princess Who Lost Her Nose.
Hey.
Spoiler alert.
Come on now, don't get people too excited. We're going to get to that eventually. Jarrod, just to clarify, none of the emus where you live were flying Qantas this week, were they? Because they would have got turned back about 4 times. So.
No, I think they usually fly Tiger Airways, and they're much better.
Nice and safe. They just get stuck on a runway for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. And they don't have to take baggage, so they get those $40 flights.
Good, as long as they're not flying Malaysia Airlines, otherwise they'll get lost. So,
and
too soon?
Too true.
Too true. Anyway, we're not here to talk about airlines. This isn't Airline Oz. This is Survivor Oz. And the 13th episode of San Juan Del Sur is done and dusted. It's over with. And we're here to go over it. We will be talking about what happened in the episode, looking ahead to some certain things, continuing on the adventures of PR Karen in The Princess Who Lost Her Nose. I think we could almost conclude it tonight. Ooh. Or do we need to save it for the finale?
You probably should save a chapter for the finale.
Oh, but the chapters are so long.
We'll never get through it.
We've only got 6 chapters to go. I mean, I can knuckle
We can just reread it.
We could. Special shout out to everybody watching this live via Spreecast. Our good friend Catherine, who's here every single week. Hello, Catherine. Gerard, you're here, I think, every second week for the most part, but hello. Get as committed as Catherine, please. No, I'm kidding, Gerard.
Always attacking people who watch us.
We love you, Gerard. I love your name. It's very, posh. Gerard. Noah, what a wanker. Jared, I hate him. And Riley is here. Oh, God. That was back when Ozlets used to be good. Now we just get stuck with shit ones like Jared. I mean,
call in, Riley.
I love you, Jared. Do I? I don't know. Yeah, call in, Riley.
What happened to Reese?
What happened to Reese? What
Got
happened
too
to Reese?
Embarrassed after last week.
Oh, he said to me he couldn't make it this week. That's because he was going to call in this week because he couldn't.
That was after we outed him as the casting guy from Rob as a podcast. So.
No, we don't talk about that, Noah. All right. We don't talk about that.
Or Chris Berger.
I'm Rat. Where's Rat? Rat added me as a friend on Spreecast, and he's never online.
Wasn't Rat at Tribal Council last episode?
Rattly scared her. But Riley, it's good to see you. We miss you from Survivor Oz. I hope Queensland.
We'll see your name and picture on Spreecast anyway.
Yes, well, exactly. And look, often once an Ozlet leaves Survivor Oz, we never want them back again. But for you, we'd probably make an exception. So, aww. That's sweet. Anyway, Survivor, San Juan Del Sur, episode 13, Noah Groves. Over to you, your thoughts.
It wasn't the best of the season, but how many second last episodes are the best of the season? I feel like every single season goes downhill towards the end. But it was still very enjoyable. I only saw it in the nick of time, but...
Share us the story. Share us the epic adventure of Noah Groves venturing bloody feet on gravel cliffs just to watch Survivor.
Yes, I slept in at a different house and I had to trek and run in Crocs. Yes, I said it, Crocs. In gravel, my feet are all kind of... And I tell you what, it was kind of like 4D when I was seeing Missy with her foot with the doctor, because I was feeling the pain at that point. So, but yes, I got there in time. And,
was Jeff Probst waiting for you going, wow, that's big?
Well, you were there, Dr. Ben.
Well, thank you. I just happened to travel around the place. And
but, yeah, it wasn't bad. I was never bored from it. I thought the boot was kind of predictable after Tribal Council. The Missy stuff.
So hang on, you thought it was predictable after he was voted out? Oh, I knew. It's so obvious that was John's going.
Yeah, after the challenge.
Oh, right, after the challenge. Okay, good.
But yeah, it was fun. Kind of sad to see John go because I just lost $100, and that happened in the second last episode with Trish. So I would rather get voted out when Jarrod did and not have to be so close and have it torn apart. Like, oh, devastating.
You can have my luck. I'm either like the third boot, first
of
merge,
course, I get the first boot, so it gets me money, but I have to have the embarrassment of having Rupert.
Bloody Jimmy.
Trish so close, and then John so close. What are you... Oh. And then, yes, Jimmy. He's always winning.
Bloody Jimmy doesn't need the money. He's rich.
Jimmy, the rich one who always goes on holidays, is winning all the money. Like all the rich people are in the finals. Nick, Jimmy, all the people with jobs.
It's just like life, isn't it? Like, the rich people get rewarded.
Hashtag life problem.
Hashtag Survivor Oz life. Jarrod, your thoughts on this week's episode?
I thought it was good. I missed about the first 10 to 15 minutes, but I just sort of gathered that was pretty much what was in the sneak previews. Yeah, it was good. I think I'd probably imagined more elaborate plans in my head of how like this blindside could have gone down, and I'd sort of convinced myself before the episode that I thought that Jacqueline was going to get the boot. And then at the challenge, just sort of how they kept showing John, I was certain that because they were showing him so much that he was going to end up winning it. But no, it was surprising that sort of everything went to plan, and I'm happy with that.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm just looking here. Hashtag Ben. Oh, leave me alone, Noah. I kind of thought that it was obvious that Natalie was going to win immunity. But other than that, like, it was, yeah, I agree with Noel that from a certain point it was kind of obvious that John was... I think I put that John was going home the minute he gave up his reward.
It always happens. Like, when will they learn? No one has ever won from doing that.
It's fascinating that there's kind of this curse about it seems. And an interesting one that Alec brought up in his exit interview this week, which I had cottoned on till Alec told me, of all people, that everybody who goes to Exile Island seems to be getting voted out. So, like, John's been... How many times did John go to Exile Island and he's voted out? So, and, of course, the jury house is you know, it's a men's club at the moment. You know, it's like the Masonic Hall.
Jarrod's comment was kind of interesting about how he thought John would win from them showing. Like, I kind of agree, because in Survivor it's like... Penner is on the bottom. Penner wins immunity. Yeah. Abby is on the bottom. Yeah. And I'm not a Survivor skeptic, but sometimes it just does seem to work that way. So it's like John's getting blindsided. John wins immunity, but obviously not. This season's
and I feel in those type of challenges, they kind of they make it look like the person who sort of ends up winning is struggling throughout, and like they constantly, like, at the end they'll show like that person like, oh, it's wobbling, and then they'll sort of like quickly switch back to the other player, and then theirs will just kind of fall off out of nowhere.
But Jared, when you say those type of challenges, do you mean the same challenges they've used
every single challenge post-merge on this season? Like, it's turning into the last season. I remember being the same as like Caramon, which just made it even worse. That every challenge post-merge was like exactly the same, like balance on something and hold something up for like forever.
It's just going to become known as the Survivor Challenge. Like, they're not challenges, it's just the challenge.
There's kind of just this generic formula to challenges now post-merge. It's like, okay...
Yeah, but this is next level, though. This is the same structure.
Season 33 will just be like, okay, and we're up to round 7.
Paper, scissors, rock. And we're doing battle rounds.
It's
in the arena.
It's kind of like, I don't know if anybody else has this feeling about like KFC products, that KFC always like releases a new product which essentially is the same product, it's just rebadged slightly differently. So like a crispy strip is an elongated popcorn chicken. And then you have boneless chicken fillets, which is just a fatter, crispy chicken strip.
I feel like you've had this conversation before.
I had a very good analysis conversation with a friend of mine, and she was the one who like turned the light on in my head for this. Like, if anybody's seen
but
that
the difference is that's KFC.
But like, this is kind of an analogy now for Survivor, that are like every challenge is the same. It's just like, well, this week you'll hold like something with a ball above your head for as long as you can, and then this week you'll stand on a thing with a vase and wobble it a little bit. And
are you trying to say that next season Jeff will be like, alright, we're playing for a reward. This reward is brought to you by KFC. $5
Well, I've got an exclusive, Noah. KFC has signed on it. No, I really don't have that.
Well, if we say it now, it's probably going to happen.
Well, exactly. Well, we'll start it. I mean, clearly. Big Brother have an exclusive thing with KFC. It's kind of like, oh, and this week we've decided to reward the housemates with a new KFC chicken strip feast. Like, how convenient.
This argument was brought to you by Zinger.
Well, that was a zinger, wasn't it? Get it now.
We actually...
Go, Jared.
I was just going to say, we actually have just had a KFC open in Emu Plains.
Wow. Wow.
Celebrate good times.
Why are you not there right now?
KFC across from McDonald's, Red Rooster down the road, they're going to go out of business.
Red Rooster, we don't have them down here.
High Street.
We don't have Red Rooster down in Tasmania, Jared. Send them our way. I want Red Rooster. I love Red Rooster.
We'll do. When they relocate, we'll just send them there.
If they open a Red Rooster in Tasmania, like, I won't be able to fit in the screen within a week. Like, I'm already going that direction as it is at the moment. But, like, when it eventually comes... Oh, Gerard's left.
The camera adds on 10 roosters.
Gerard left, by the way. Just wanted to let you know. I don't even know what we're talking about. We were talking about challenges, and we're talking about this, we're talking about that. I was going to start off the episode by talking about the Natalie fanisms. So should we get towards the end with that, Noah? I don't know where you want to go with that.
Let's talk about it.
Talk about it now. Now, look, we're going to talk about the episode, but like we always seem to start these now with like a hot topic of the week or something like that. Like we defended.
You know
San
what
Juan Del
else? Hot and spicy box from KFC.
KFC, if you're listening, we would love for you to sponsor us. Okay, like I will sit here every week and eat a different burger. I will rename the show like the Zinger Survivor Oz show.
Is that with ham and peanut butter wrapped around?
Yes. Like every segment, like talking about the reward challenge this week, brought to you by Popcorn Chicken.
the KFC challenge.
Pop it in your mouth.
If we get 60 comments on iTunes, I will eat a 2 Zinger.
That would totally work though. Like if we get 50 comments on this episode, the 50th commenter receives a free bucket feast from KFC.
We could still offer that.
Hey, fuck it, yeah, I'm not paying for it though. Like, we don't get donations or anything, so like, if people donate money to Survivor Oz, I'll then buy them KFC. Does that work?
And then we're all happy.
Well, you gotta give me enough money to fly to where you live. And then, like, transportation. So, like, Jared, if you want me to, like, come to your local Emu Plains KFC.
And enough for an extra popcorn chicken.
Yeah, well, like, I want some food too. Like, a Mountain Dew would suffice. Like, anyway, we always, for hot topic, like, when we defended this season, all of a sudden the season got good, didn't it? So, thank Thank you. But we want to talk a little bit about the Natites. Is that what you call them now?
Yeah, Natites.
The Natites. Now, look, just to clarify this point, Noah and I agree with something, it seems, if one... Stop, press! But we both love Natalie. We both love the 20s. Noah more so, because Noah's watched them on The Amazing Race, so Noah's more of a fan than...
Come on, 20! Go 20!
than I am. So let me just clear at this point that we do not dislike Natalie. However... But there is a clear notion amongst a large majority of Survivor fans at the moment that Natalie is the be-all of end-all players this season. She is a goddess. She's brilliant. And basically, I'm going to let Noah explain this a little bit more than I do, because I'm not doing a very good job with it right now. But it's kind of getting to the point where I feel that Noah and I are sort of slightly rooting against her to an extent so that we can be proved right. Is that... Am I putting that...
It makes me sound worse when you say
it does,
like that.
But you explain it better then.
And no, Susie Q, this is not a dig at you, that rhymed. It's just... It kind of like... I was having this debate with someone on previously on Survivor, the home of Survivor passionate debates, and it was
the
kind
home
of
all
like,
Survivor opinions, Noah.
And it's like, if you're not... all I said in the debate was, and this isn't the only debate, it's just this one for an example. A lot of people on Twitter are like this, but I said, Natalie can win, but I think she lost some votes from that jury thing, but I see Keith winning, I see Missy winning, I can see, well, maybe not Battle, but I just said, I think this season is a lot more up in arms, and people are like, no, Natalie is the greatest player ever, there's no way at all Natalie can lose, there's absolutely no scenario, Natalie wins, she gets all the jury votes. I'm like, maybe, but I just feel like she is a good player, she's not a great player, I feel like she's made a lot of not great moves, and she's just getting a lot of over the top to the fact that people are blind. Like, I'll admit, Keith is one of my favourites, but he sucks as a player. But I love him because he's awesome. But yeah, so I just feel like it's really making Natalie unlikable in a way, just because there's this huge cult which is just ignoring everyone else in the game. And I think this is a pretty big open finale going into it. I think a lot of possibilities could happen.
We're very hipster, aren't we, Noah? Like, going against...
It is a bit hipster, and to reiterate, I still like Natalie, but it's just kind of getting a bit extreme by the end of this season.
Jarrod, do you agree with that?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, I sort of try to avoid those type of crazy obsessed fans, but I can agree that it becomes
Go away,
they
Jarrod.
become so like they become so no, but they definitely become so fixated on like the one player that they sort of become blind to any move that they may have made that wasn't smart. And like I'd agree, like I see like constantly like, oh, Keith can't win, blah blah blah, like he hasn't done anything strategic. And I'm like, yeah, but if he's more likable, and they're like, oh no,
Keith win.
Like Keith and Natalie in the final, Natalie wins hands down. Like, I think Keith and Natalie in the finale, like it's very close, like that jury vote.
I just want to reiterate, like, I got a lot of backlash last week from people going off of my opinions of Natalie's moves and everything, and like, for the record, I never said Natalie was a bad player. I just
controversial week for power rankings as well.
Well, I want to read some of these comments just to kind of go on what sort of this opinion kind of going on what Noah said. I mean, a comment here we got from Jay, way off, all of you. Natalie's at the top. No one wants her out. No one! And then a long way down, maybe Keith at number 2, Gap, Jack/John/Missy, Baylor. It's funny because Nat has Keith and Baylor in her back pocket, and that's 3 out of 6, and let's not forget her idol. Maybe I just want Nat to win the most. Then Anonymous,
that's kind of fair.
Anonymous says, I agree with Jay, a little off this week. Natalie's first. She's got an idol, an alliance, and a plan. Baylor is second. She's safe for a while. Keith is third, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, there's another one here. This one was my favourite, from Anon. Yeah, these are bad, lol. John is beyond screwed. Well, okay. And Jacqueline will leave if he idle plays. Think what you want about Natalie's move, but it was portrayed as a good one. They'll get Missy with them with the threat of a tie or with something. There's a clip at the end of Survivor Live where no one is even mad at Natalie. Troy's Anne is pretty on point, but Ben in particular needs to get a clue. Well, I've got one.
It's not the Amazing Race.
It's the United Church of Bacon. That's a really bad segue. Look, well,
those comments weren't too bad compared to some that I've seen.
I really didn't pre-plan this segment. I just I was like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to read some comments out? And clearly I chose ones that were sort of right. But, like, look, it's kind of like I've done my power rankings already, and I've put Natalie at number 2. I said on Twitter when I was watching this, I'm like, if Natalie gets John out, she's done good. She's made a good move, and I'll say that, and I did. And I think she did. But it's, again, going back to what I was saying last week, I don't think anybody left in this game, and for the last several weeks, is a brilliant / outstanding player who has been doing the moves to get them to the end. I think everybody is very even. They've done good things, they've done bad things. Going into this final 5, and we'll probably talk about this, we might even talk about this now, Noah and I, again, having our post-Survivor debrief, I said it could be arguably one of the most open final episodes ever. And, look, we can talk about that, but I just feel as though that Natalie's, the blindness of Natalie fans, and look, it sounds like disrespectful the way I'm trying to say that, but people get very passionate about people. I understand that. I was very passionate one-eyed about Jeremy, and I probably would have been if he was still in the game, like right now. And you get that way. I understand that. It's that sports mentality when you go for a team or an athlete or something like that. But it's also kind of to the point where, as Noah in his debate, I was reading through the comments and that, like Noah, and I commend you, Noah, because you, for the most part, are a very... when you debate and you say your opinions, for the most part, you are very much a neutral way of doing it. You're not like christening, shut up, you're an idiot. Like,
it's just a TV show. You don't need to get personal, but it's fun to debate.
Come on. But it's interesting to kind of to have this viewpoint of it, and that Noah and myself, as people who like Natalie and are fans of hers, are sort of like loosely in a way rooting against her winning just because of this. Because
I guess it kind of sounds like we're whinging a bit, but I guess the biggest thing for me about it is that I just when they were voted out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great final because so many things could happen. Then I'm seeing Natalie. So I guess the biggest thing for me is, I just thought, oh, this is going to be so up in the arms. And now everyone's set in stone on Natalie, and it's kind of ruining it in a way. Like, let's face it, Natalie will probably be the winner, but, like, I don't know. I think there are so many possibilities that are going in.
I guess, and this is probably a very bad comparison because it's not really a fair one at all, but it's kind of how I felt a little bit with Trish last season. In that I had everybody going on at how brilliant Trish is, and I was like, well, she's really not that great, and like, just I would get ripped to shreds.
She was pretty good.
This is again a terrible comparison. Let's go back to Caramoan with Brenda, and we saw we saw how lovely people thought of my opinions when I said a few things about Brenda.
That was like the Brenda bots, as you call
the Brenda
them.
bots. Well, they are the Brenda bots. They still exist, for God's sakes.
Although I'd say the Natites are more...
Who wins in a fight? The
Natites
versus Brenda bots.
Well, the Natites have a much more to argue over Brenda. Like, let's face it, Natalie is probably the winner, but Brenda, what?
And I just watched Caramoan, and it doesn't get any better on a rewatch. But, like, look... if Natalie wins, I'm not going to be... It's my pride that will take the hit in terms of... She'll
still be a fairly good winner.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she's not going to... Like, we're not saying she's a terrible player and she would be an undeserved winner. She's not. It's okay, like, I, a month ago, was saying that there's no way Keith is going to win this game, I will do this, blah, 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 and then I've tuned
Cue the sound behind.
I admitted I was wrong last week, and look, I suppose in a full circle with the point we're trying to make is that I personally can sit here right now, and I know I haven't been like this in the past with some of my opinions, so I know I'm not perfect, I'm not claiming to be perfect, and yes, we are whinging, as Noah said, fuck it, I'm whinging, whatever. I can sit here and say that I was wrong about Keith and that I feel Keith can win this game. If Natalie wins next week, I will still stand by. I think she made some bad moves, but I will respectfully say she's a good winner and congratulate. I'm not going to, say anything negative about it. But there seems to be certain aspects of the fans that Natalie, say, gets voted out in 5th. Oh, but she did this and blah. There's still nothing there that would. Is that making sense?
Kind of. This is completely off topic. If she wins, I'm trying to run through my head. Is she the first winner with the same name as a previous winner? Which is annoying. I'm just trying to run through
Sandra.
Bob and Rob. I guess Bob and
there was
Rob
a Sandra who won in
Bob.
season 7 and a Sandra who won in season
Yes,
3.
we got the joke. You don't need to keep going.
Sorry, I just had to make sure that you got it.
I just didn't laugh. Yeah, I think she's the same. Besides Bob and Boston Rob.
Well, is Boston Rob's full name Robert? Is it Robert Mariano?
I think so.
And isn't it Robert Crowley?
Their on-screen names are different though, so that doesn't count. It's Bob and Rob.
They would be the first.
Yeah, so now I don't want to win even more because that's just annoying.
But then you would have to look at some other stats. Not that there's really been other opportunities for this stat to happen, but it would be the first time that a sister got voted off first and a sister won. That's a stupid stat. That's a Survivor Wiki stat.
Edit that one out of the archive.
She's not even African American. She's Asian American. She'd be the first Asian American woman to win. The first black woman to win since Vecepia. That's what I was trying to say with African American. She's not African American. But yeah, there would be a lot of firsts there and a lot of stats. But everybody, I think you would find in the game would have a few things that would be, if Baylor wins, she would be the first person with a song called Sticky Situation to
No.
Survivor Wiki stat.
But yeah, I think she would be the first person with the same name. So we'd have Natalie White and Natalie Anderson, is it?
Yes.
I just know them as the twinnies, but
Mr.
we're maybe going on a bit about Natalie, but I just want to reiterate, I think she can easily win and I don't dislike it. I just feel like it gets a bit much, and I feel like the finale is so much open than people are saying.
And I think too that, as you and I were saying before, it's kind of like, I think you and I both are on the same page with Kim, and I've said this a lot, that watching One World, I hated Kim. I was like, fuck, Kim, she wins. And a lot of that, I think, came to the fact that so many people were talking her up as so brilliant during the season. And that kind of just...
Which she was.
Which she was. I'm not... But
Kim, I knew she was so good, but that's why I didn't want her to win, just because it was so obvious. Same with Tyson.
Riley said Natalie was so invisible pre-merge. That's exactly right. We can kind of
I was going to get to that.
We can kind of move on to this part with the edit because, everybody, again, to reiterate at this point, has had at least a donut episode. They've had a 0 episode, but we were talking about this off air, that it's only really been in the last 3-4 weeks that Natalie's even got airtime. If you go back previously before the last 3 weeks, her confessionals in an episode were 1, 1, 0, 2, 0, 2, 2, 1, 2. The last couple of weeks, 6, 5, 9, and this week she's loosely on 5. So, the same said to be Jacqueline. Jacqueline was nowhere. The first bit. The only one who's really kind of had a consistent edit is Keith. And you'd argue Baylor, perhaps. Really, at this point.
That's another point. We can look at Natalie's game, but I think edit is a huge part of the win. People can argue against it, whatever. We've had unique edits like Natalie White, whatever. I think edit is a massive part. Keith has been there since day one. The edits were the 3 characters of all the pre-merge. It was the Josh, Jeremy, and Keith show. It was the Josh and Jeremy guest starring Keith show, and no one else was even nowhere anywhere near them. It was those three and no one. I think that is a huge plus in the Keith column. We almost need your whiteboard from Oztopsy 1 that no one could see to do a pros and pros. We need a pros and cons column, and I think that's a massive pro for Keith and a massive con for Jacqueline.
Now, Noah, if we had a whiteboard, that's just copying other people. So,
plus, no one could see it in the Blood vs. Water episode.
Well, that's when I had the really shitty cam. Remember, it was kind of like all that skew-if colours as well. So, Jarrod, you haven't talked in about 5 minutes. How do you? I mean, do you read the edit a lot? As in, like, oh, they were invisible in the first part, but here they are. I mean, does that really come into fact when you look at who you think might win?
I didn't used to. I'm kind of starting to. I think it definitely plays a part, and I think the kind of worrying thing with Natalie was sort of how quickly it picked up, and I felt like it was kind of fulfilling this storyline of getting John out, and now that storyline's over, I think it will kind of be telling if... I mean, we've only got one episode left, but just, like, there was a point to that edit, which I suppose is kind of a thing against her. Like, it's not like she wasn't doing anything and she got all these confessionals, which could be kind of like a sign of, she's not doing something, but, like, now she's getting, like, all these confessionals, so that could be a sign that she's winning.
Yeah, just to quickly jump in, I think the perfect example of that is Reed. Nowhere, final 2 episodes, he's in it a lot to do the whole Keith stick to the plan type thing. So, yeah, just to jump in there, I think Reed is a good example of what Jarrod's saying.
It's fascinating with it. Like, this has been such a strange edited season that, you know, John, he's got the most confessionals now. He obviously finally overtook Jeremy, but, like, it's kind of like, based on edit, he was the winner, and now he's gone. So, like, you know, if you look at who we've got left in the game, now, again, I don't have the official confessional count. No, it's really official. It's just the sucks confessional count. They haven't updated it properly, but, like, I mean, sort of loosely based on what I'm seeing from this episode, obviously, does Keith still have the most, or is that? No, Keith still got the most. So I'm looking, he's got about 39, Natalie's on about 35, Baylor's on about 34, Missy's on about 25, Jacqueline's on about 24. So it's a very, very low season in terms of, like, I wouldn't even be able to really quickly scrolling through here the final whatever. I mean, God, I mean...
Josh and Jeremy are to blame for that.
I mean, scrolling through here quickly, I mean, you look at Cagayan, Tony on 90... Cass on 61. Blood vs. Water, I mean, that was fairly low, but you still had Tyson on 49, Monica on, Sierra on 45, Monica on 35, like 67 to Cochrane, 37 to Dawn, Philippines, Lisa 58, 64 to Malcolm, One World, like, you add these numbers up, like, somebody can do this, so I'm not going to do it right now, because otherwise we'll be here till 3 in the morning, but, like, add up the final 5, and I would almost put a bet on that this would be the lowest average, although Nicaragua
a lot of people get them in finale, so...
Nicaragua here has a very 38 Fabio, 36 Chase, 30 Sash, Holly 33, and Dan 13. So, I mean, there's a few exceptions, obviously, but, like, it's kind of fascinating with the edit. It's just, this is why, and again, we're just repeating ourselves, when it comes to defending this season. Like, I really sincerely hope that we are right by saying that this will be a season that will be appreciated over time, because, like, just the editing has been, I feel, so spot on that it's been so open and unpredictable. And people throw that word around a lot when you say unpredictable seasons and all that sort of stuff. I know we said that last year about Cagayan. You go back and rewatch Cagayan, I guess it's really not that predictable if the winner gets 90 confessionals. It was just the way it was edited and the character that he was. But, like, I really feel as though this is arguably the most unpredictable season ever, because, like, Noah and I had this, and we can raise this now. Noah, we can talk about Jarrod, we can get your thoughts on this, and people watching this live. Like, when it comes into the most open final 5, yeah, Noah, you kind of put a good point with a few things, but in terms of the edit, like, when did we last have a season that you can possibly think of that, like, there really wasn't a standout, super clear winner. Like, even in those, like, when we were talking heroes versus villains, like, you know, I mean, you could argue that there was a Parvati. I mean, I know Russell wasn't going to win, but for a casual fan, you know, he was going to, you know what I mean? Like, I think I know where I'm going with that point. In terms of openness into a finale and the edits and everything, do you feel this is like the most unpredictable open ever coming into a finale, Noah?
Definitely not ever, because I thought about this after you raised it, and I feel like there's a lot of other ones, like Marquesas is a good example. What were some of the other ones? Yeah, well, that's an example. Micronesia type stuff, but I definitely agree it's open. Jacqueline, I don't think can win at this point, and Baylor is very slim, so I think 3 out of 5 people have a shot. But if you compare it to Kagiyan, which people say Wu was going to win, and if you listen to those Oztopsies, you said that I talk in a neutral way. I'd probably call people who said that Wu or Cass would win idiots, because you can listen back and that was a ludicrous opinion. Blood vs. Water, Tyson. Definitely Tyson. Karamoan, Cochrane. Philippines. Well, Philippine was pretty open. One World, Kim. So, of recent years, definitely open, and that makes the finale all the more exciting. Like,
Catherine's raised a good point, which I'll get to, but I'll just get Jared's thoughts on, quickly, the openness of this finale.
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be one of them. Another point that I just wanted to sort of quickly add on the edit is that I could definitely kind of see Natalie being a character that I don't know about setting her up for a fall, but I feel like they want to sort of edit somebody to be a favourite sort of with the audience, like going into this point, so that if we do sort of get a comparatively bland sort of final 3 or something, that at least there's somebody who the audience is invested in going into the finale.
The Malcolm.
Exactly.
Do you feel that they do that for that reason, or do you feel sometimes now in the way they edit people that maybe say go home 4th or 5th, that a lot of the reason why is because they're definitely going to bring them back and they want people to like them enough that they will be likeable again on the second go, if that makes sense?
I think it probably has to do to both. Like, imagine if sort of Natalie had kept the same edit going throughout, and then you're at sort of the final 5 with that same edit. Like, what character would you have? You'd have sort of Keith, and the rest you'd kind of be like, I don't particularly know them that well and not be invested in them.
Catherine raised a point in the chat. She says, I don't think I can predict what the jury will do. They really are the wild card this season. Now, I know, Noah, in your little pause debate, there was mentioning about the jury, and you saying to me in terms of who you think will vote and all this sort of stuff. We probably will at the end kind of just go over each of the 5 and be like, you know, can they win? How can they win? What scenario? Not like go into too much detail, otherwise again we'll be here to 3 in the morning. But like, is a jury...
That's a very good point from Catherine, though.
Discuss, Noah Groves. Discuss Catherine's point.
Well, yeah, this is why I think there are so many potentials, because other than Jeremy, have we shown that the jury likes Natalie? Apparently, there's this big thing that the jury loves Natalie, and me personally, yeah, maybe I'm watching a different show. I'm not saying they don't, but I've never really seen that. Like, one person's argument was Josh gasped when John was blindsided, and to me that doesn't show that the jury loves Natalie, and Ponderosa hasn't necessarily said Natalie, so I'm not saying they don't, I just haven't seen a lot of it other than Jeremy.
I just want to really quickly interrupt you there in terms of reactions. For the most part, yeah, they're right, but I mean, did we not last season get a lot of people like rolling their eyes and doing negative things whenever Tony spoke? Like, I felt there was a lot of distaste towards Tony.
I think it was more when Cass spoke.
But I know that, but like, I know there was also a bit towards Tony as well.
Yeah, and people say no one's going to like Keith, Wes, Alec, even though people say that Alec doesn't like Keith, which I think is bull. I think even Josh and Reed might like Keith. Who's the other jury member? Jeremy won't vote for Keith, but I feel like Keith has a lot. And apparently Missy is a player who's going to have no votes. And I'm like, Is that true?
No, sorry, I'm distracted by the chat.
I saw the
I was trying to do Alex's face.
No one can pull it off like a Christian.
So what was the question about Missy not getting any votes? Is that what you said?
Well, apparently she's a
Where is
no
this,
vote
Missy?
from the jury.
Where is this? Like, I've seen these comments. I'm seeing a lot of people saying Missy isn't respected, Missy isn't liked. Can somebody explain this to me?
To be fair, I did say it last week, but you kind of defended it, and the more I thought about it, I'm not saying they necessarily love her, but I haven't got this Missy hate like Baylor.
I get the Baylor hate, because
everyone thinks Baylor's lazy.
Yeah,
and she's
but
Missy, I feel like, and especially this leg thing, like, I made it to the final, I didn't quit, I'm on one leg, kind of thing. I think that will...
Did you just say I'm a one leg?
I'm on one leg.
Oh, I thought you said I'm a one leg. Like, oh, that's a bit like...
So I feel like that could be a good story, but do the jury hate Missy? Like,
Jarrod, do they hate Missy? Do you know anything about this?
I don't think they particularly like her, but I don't think they hate her, especially sort of when Baylor's there. I mean, the only thing that would potentially be going against her is that she's always kind of like sticking up for Baylor, and that got her sort of into a few arguments. But I think sort of even like the players left in the game, if they go out, like Keith's like fairly civil to her and they seem to get along. I think John going out tonight, I don't see him having, well, he said like no hard feelings, and I see sort of Missy coming out of tonight potentially better than Natalie.
Well,
and I think...
Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
I was just going to say, adding on to jury like reactions and stuff, like every single tribal council we get like a like wink or like a smile between like Wes and Keith, like every single one.
It's fascinating because like I read a thing, and it might have been your hashtag pos debate, but like they were saying that Missy backstabbed John, and that, you know, John's going to hate Missy. Like, if anything, John, like, yeah, you could argue that Missy backstabbed him in a way, but like the initial vote, she didn't vote for him, and then she kind of had to, I guess, in that second time around. But she was very much against it. Baylor's not going to sell her out or whatever, and, you know, if anything, like, hey, I was against the idea or anything, and like, it was Natalie's choice. Baylor knows that Natalie, you know, voted out Alec, and then, you know, Natalie obviously told the lie and got away with it. So, like, to me, Missy, like, if Missy gets to that final three, I think her only competition is Keith. I think if Missy's in that final three against anybody else and Keith isn't there, she wins. Like,
I feel like Natalie could beat her, but I think it's more of a competition than people are saying. But one thing I just thought about when we were talking about the jury, and I think everyone's glossed over this, is everyone's automatically putting Jeremy down as the vote for Natalie. But then I'm just thinking, they were close, but Jeremy and Missy were close for a lot of the game as well, and they had a tight thing that I feel like was shown as well, so I don't think we can completely rule out Jeremy's vote. He could vote for Missy.
Well, I think, but like the thing is, like, Jeremy and Missy were tight. Like, it was really Jeremy, Missy, and Natalie was that alliance. Like, you know, I mean, I think Jeremy's closest was always Natalie, so like, I think Jeremy really chose, but like, I really feel that, say what you will about Jeremy and Ponderosa, because I know you'll probably say something about it, Noah, but like, I still feel Jeremy, like, yeah, he's bitter, but I still also feel that he kind of respects the game enough that he'll vote for a person that he thinks played the best. Like, he is not the type of person that doesn't want to, like, he wants to be beaten by somebody he can say they played a better game than me, because he's that type of player. So he will vote for whoever, like, if it's down between Missy and Natalie, who two people in his alliance, I think it all comes down to who he feels honestly played the better game to get there.
I feel like Missy will be close, and I can see Natalie beating her, but I can see Missy pulling through. Even the Keith one, I feel like if it was Baylor, Missy, and Keith, I feel like Keith and Missy could still get votes then. And in just saying that, do we all agree that Baylor is in the final three as a no-vote getter? Can we agree on that?
Yeah, like, I love Baylor, but I was trying to work out how she could win. She's out of the five, I think she's got the least chance.
I think she has the strongest chance of getting to the end, though, of all the five.
I think the only way, and I don't think this will play out, I think the only way she can win, and like honestly, I do not believe this happens. She ends up in a final 3 with Natalie and either Jacqueline or Keith, but like kind of contradicting myself what I said about Keith before. But Keith gets the "you were useless, you did nothing," and
Plus,
Natalie
Keith could really screw up a final.
Yeah, and Natalie gets the "you backstabbed it," like. And Baylor's kind of the best of the rest. Like, that's my only way I can see. But Baylor is Baylor's too disliked. Because, I mean, in exit interviews, everyone's always shitting on Baylor. And, like, you know, if her edit portrays her as nothing more than, oh, mummy. Like, it kind of sort of like this episode when she's trying to talk her mum into voting for John. She's like, no, I won't do it. Then Natalie steps in and she's like, well, I think that we should vote for John. So I think that's what we should do. And Missy's kind of like, well.
I do think... if Missy and Baylor are both in the finals, which I kind of hope because it would be so different to Blood vs. Water 1, like, and who would think Missy and Baylor, also Laura and Sierra were the last two couple, or was it Tina and Katie, but still it was a mum-daughter, so the mum and daughters are lasting in the Blood
don't they, isn't it the opposite in The Amazing Race? Don't they generally do pretty bad in The Amazing Race?
Yeah, so Shelley and Nisi get on Survivor. But I feel like whoever's in the final, if those two are in the final, I think the third person wins by association of being a single.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd want to vote for a couple.
Do we agree with that? Like, Jared, do you kind of agree with that if Missy and Baylor get to the end, that whoever's in that third spot wins?
Not particularly. I think a sort of a Jacqueline, Missy, Baylor final could be like very close, and like I have no idea sort of how that would pan out. To me, that's kind of the most open of all sort of the potential options.
How does Jacqueline get to the end?
Jacqueline gets to the end by winning immunity, or
I still think like they vote out Keith first if it's an option. So I feel like she would just need sort of the one immunity win at Final Four.
I can like.
I think they've talked up Keith as the immunity guy so much that he'll win immunity next. It's been such a big story.
You could kind of see, like maybe Jacqueline, say Keith goes 5th. Jacqueline wins this, Jacqueline pulls a Lil and wins the final immunity. And Natalie goes home 4th, and yeah.
That's the other thing people are ruling out. Natalie doesn't necessarily make the final.
She's guaranteed Final Four, no matter what. She's Final Four.
She's got the idol. She has to.
I want to talk about John's idol because we're not doing any order this episode. We're just fucking going over everything here at once.
It's pre-finale. This is the last time we can ever debate before we know the winner.
We'll get to John's idol thing in a bit because I was thinking about that today, and the more I think about it, the more stupid it seems. But yeah, like. It's kind of, I agree with you a lot that Baylor, to me, is almost a lock. She's almost final tribal council fodder, and she will be 0 vote getter.
Well, sorry to butt in quickly again, but what's a scenario where Baylor doesn't make the end?
That Missy and Baylor wake up to the fact that both of them being at the end is a bad idea, and Missy would say, let's be honest here, I've got a better chance of winning, we need to vote you out.
They really need to do that. They need to... I don't want to vote my mum out. Sierra thing. They need to decide. All right, one of us. We both can't be in the final. Who has the better shot?
Think of the positives of that situation too, because Baylor's in at the jury. Baylor then can talk her mum up, and Baylor then can spill the beans to John. Hey, by the way, Natalie lied to you. Natalie didn't accidentally vote for Alex. She did it deliberately, and the whole time she wanted you gone. So then all of a sudden, John's going to be like... John just seems like a puppy dog. He'll listen to anybody and go along with things. No disrespect. I still like John. But, that to me is super, super smart because, it doesn't matter if they're both at the final because, again, only one of them can win no matter what. And they need to see that. Yeah, you can argue they get $100,000 for second, but what are the odds of Missy and Baylor being first and second?
Here's another scenario, and it probably won't happen, but I'll present it. The singles decide to get together for a final 3 over the couple.
That's an idea. That's true. So a final 3, Jacqueline, Keith, and Natalie.
I don't think that would happen, but would it happen? Is there a possibility or not?
Jared?
Potentially. You also have sort of the potential curveball of Final 5, so idols can still be played. If they re-hide like the merge idol, John's idol, on Exile Island, then whoever goes there finds it. Then like that could completely change the game. Then if you've got 2 idols in play and like an immunity winner.
That's a good point about the idol.
Do they do
it's
that?
Final 5, so it should be re-hidden. It's Final 5.
But then that does put the very good point there that Jarrod says, that you've got the real possibility then of having 3 people immune at the Final 5.
Who are they going to send to the Exile Island?
I mean, it's going to depend a lot on the reward challenge, because, I mean, odd numbers, so you'd assume that if they have a reward challenge, then it's going to be, like, working as individuals.
They'll find a way to put it as teams.
Missy,
Jarrod.
not chosen. She'll sit out. Like, I mean, you got to look at, I suppose, realistically here. They're not going to choose Keith, probably. They're going to look at realistically, probably. Keith and Jacqueline, you would assume, wouldn't. Because you've got to remember that they did set this whole Missy, Baylor, Natalie thing up a while ago. So if that sticks to the case, then Keith and Jacqueline are not going to Exile Island. So I reckon Natalie volunteers to go again, even though she's got an idol. She'll get 2, then she can be powerful with it and try and save someone else with it.
She'll find a Tyler Perry line.
Tony left this behind.
If Keith wins a reward, who does he send? Who's Keith with at this point?
Keith is with the lovely Keith, and to him, that's all that matters. He thinks he's with Natalie, doesn't he? And then
does he think that, or does he think he's on his own?
Well, didn't he say in this episode, like, it's nice to be 30 days in and finally have someone to be with? But then
I'm still waiting for the Keith and Missy hook.
But well, I mean, this is the thing that you and I
Survivor.
we kind of got this added scene of like Baylor randomly like going, I really like Keith. Like, you know, it's kind of like, well, is this foreshadowing something? Like, but mind you though, Baylor also said in the episode that Alec went home like, oh, I'm really starting to like Alec. I don't want him to go.
Is that the Baylor curse?
So maybe Baylor's like the Charlie Brown of like Survivor.
Well, I'm really coming around to John Rocker. He's not actually racist. John's gone.
I love Julie. She's so passionate about this game.
I love Sandra. I hope she wins for a 3rd time. No, Baylor! Stop!
I love Kevin Rudd. I'm so glad he's Australia's Prime Minister.
Tony Abbott, he's a nice chap. Baylor!
Actually, no, we want her to say that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we're going on all different directions here, whatever. The one I wanted, like, John not playing the idol. Now, the more I think about this, like, you are at the Final 5. You play that idol whether you're in danger or not, because you then are guaranteed
Final 6.
You know, Final 6, sorry. So then you're guaranteed Final 5. Yeah, okay, you would then argue, well, but then Jacqueline goes home in that situation. But John's more likely to win immunities. You know, the idol gets played, then as we sort of are just saying, then they might re-hide it again so he can get it again to get Final 4. I really do not see any logic or any reason why you would say, oh, let's gamble it one more time, we might need it again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll ask Jarrod first. Is this obviously, it's obviously a dumb move not to play it when you get voted out with one, but do you think, like, why would he not play it, I guess is my question.
I think his thinking behind it is probably, okay, so we get rid of Keith tonight, then it's the 5 of us, and then you kind of assume that even if they had sort of some agreement with Missy and Baylor, that Natalie's probably going to become like the swing vote between the 2 pairs. So I feel like he wanted to keep it to hope that sort of next time him or Jacqueline win immunity, and then he can use the idol on the other one, and then they're both through to the Final 4.
It's a big, big risk, obviously. It didn't pay off. Noah?
That's what I know. People don't like the idol, so that's kind of what I like about the idol is it puts in so much root. Like, if I had an idol on Survivor, I'd probably drive myself to the grave, because it's like, do you use it? If you use it now, it's going to end up bad in the future, or we can use it in the future and risk it now. Like, I don't think it's bad of him to not play it. But at the same time, I don't think he should have ruled it out, because... But we've seen so many times when it's just a pagong, and if this was Redemption Island, Keith would have been voted out. So it's hard to blame John for it, but I do think he should have considered it, which he probably did. But
do you want to hear the worst analogy ever in the history of Survivor Oz? I was watching Deal or No Deal today. It's kind of like when, you get...
Andrew O'Keefe's going to be on season 30?
Hey! He's going to be hosting after Jeff leaves. And we'll hear him going,
So Baylor, what are the odds of you in the finals?
But like...
are you going to take the risk?
I mean, in Deal or No Deal, like, it's always about, like, oh, one more, oh, just one more, oh, just one more, and then eventually bites you in the ass and you wish you had gone, like, one before. Same with an idol. Like, oh, I'll keep it one more round. Oh, one more round. Oh, fuck, I'm voted out. So, it's...
Are they going to start using these for anti-gambling ads? Like, John didn't play the idol. Don't gamble.
It's just... I don't know, like, it's very easy for us to sit here and judge and say, why didn't you play the idol? And I all but guarantee you that in every single exit interview done in the next 24 hours with John, and no doubt on the one that we do in a week's time as well, it will be the question, so John, why didn't you play your idol?
I think he considers it, like, I feel like people often, and I hate saying that, like, oh, I'm so good, I'm the better fan to you guys, but I feel like people, like, if it's not shown, people think it doesn't happen. Like, people are like, why aren't they looking for idols? I bet you every contestant out there is looking for idols. Like,
oh, yeah.
And why didn't he play it? I bet you he considered playing it. Like, I feel like when it's not shown, people think it necessarily doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's the age-old thing that has been said in so many of our interviews, like, oh, they film, 100-odd hours worth and can only show 42 minutes, like, I mean, it's whatever, you've heard it more than the fucking pizza quote, but people don't complain about that. But it's... Sorry. But, I don't know, like, it's... The idol thing's a whole nother debate because, I mean, they're the easiest things to find now. Like, whatever. But it's...
That doesn't bother me. I don't care if someone doesn't struggle finding it. It doesn't change my life. My life is fine.
Okay, Jeff.
That was Jeff.
It was Jeff. And same with Missy. Missy's fine as well. She was fine this episode. We should really touch on a few of these other things because we've gone on the hour mark now. We've barely covered a lot of the things. Let's talk about Missy's ankle, I guess. Good on her. Super strong. Dr. Ben. I kind of rewatched the bit where she fell and like I was thinking, oh, is this going to be like... She didn't really seem to do much to it, but obviously she did enough to it.
I blame the 13-year-old kid.
Yes. Well, poor old Amy O'Hara was live tweeting along with me, and she's like, wait, they're allowed to do that to their ankles now? Where were they when I was playing? Like, fair point.
Still not as bad as James Clement, who had the big leg thing.
True. And I mean, poor old Jeff Wilson from Palau. Remember him? The coconut?
Not poor old Jeff Wilson.
Oh, come on. There's nothing wrong with Jeff. Jeff's a good guy. Jarrod, Missy and her ankle. Anything to add on that?
No, I didn't actually see it happen, so I just saw the aftermath.
Jarrod, Noah.
It sounds like Rossi now, Jarrod.
I missed the first 15 minutes. I couldn't help it.
You should have been running down hills in Crocs, Jarrod, to watch this episode.
I'm driving as fast as I could.
What was the thing missing? Kind of obvious it wasn't a medevac, considering in her confessional she had like a leg brace, so like way to ruin it with the confessionals. Does anyone get the feeling Keith has a crush on Missy?
Yes.
He said, no, she's her leg's sore
and what was
him? Oh, I'll test your leg out.
I like the fact that we also kind of got a weird John Milfy vibe. Like, oh, we're going to keep you looking as young as you already do, Missy. Like,
yeah, he was so like Jacqueline. Like, she's a loose cannon, Jacqueline.
I absolutely love Jacqueline's reactions to it like that, because we had a week ago, like Jacqueline pretty openly flirting with Alec, like she was enjoying it, I should say, and then like when John sort of brings it up, he's just kind of like, oh yeah, she's doing it, and Jacqueline's kind of like, ah. But as soon as like John's like, oh, keep you as young, she's like, oh, shut the fuck up.
I love Jacqueline, but she is really a loose cannon. Like, if you say one thing wrong, she's off.
This is why, like, I can't wait to do a rewatch of this season because I feel so bad, like, just ignoring Jacqueline at the start. Because, I mean, in rankings and all our chats, it was kind of like, oh, Jacqueline's so obviously going very early, so we don't need to care about her. But, like, she's, like, she's so amazing in so many levels. And, like, I'm kind of on the same page as Kate, where I hate these people when they say Survivor Goddess. But, like, she is... Oh, she's so good.
Yeah.
And she's hot. And she has... Here's a point. I don't know how this is going to sound. I would argue she has the best body in the history of Survivor.
Well, if you saw those clips from last week when she was kind of sitting side on in the shelter, I would probably agree with you. But
Jarrod, I don't hear you often
she...
commenting on this sort of stuff.
Oh, I don't know. She's probably up there.
Thanks, Rossi.
I think she may be taking over from my Sierra Love, and yeah.
It's unusual that you and I... I don't think this has ever happened, that you and I actually like the same, like, you know, usually we have different people we have these things for.
It wasn't until, like, late in the season, though, but it's just like Jacqueline, everything, every time you see her.
It's... Yeah, and that picture you sent me last week.
We don't need to talk about that.
Anyway, what other things?
Yes. Screensaver. That's screensaver worthy.
This was the episode of the teeter-totter. And the giant teeter-totter. Then we had the...
All fairness, I think we should comment. Way better than Random Firework Girls Challenge. Like,
true.
Props to the Make-A-Wish guy who made this.
It was, and like, I haven't watched the video. I haven't seen the behind-the-scenes video of him doing it. But, like, in all honesty, like we've just done the commentaries of Pearl Islands when we've had... What was her name? She's turned into a really attractive model now, hasn't she? Angela something, wasn't it? Or
what was it? Yes, but...
Listen to the Survivor Pearl Islands commentaries. There's more about that on those.
Brought to you by Zinger Twister.
We stalked the girl who created the challenge back in Pearl Islands, and we discovered that she's actually like a model now, and she's actually quite attractive.
And from the look of the pictures, I don't think she's watching Survivor.
No, people like that don't watch Survivor. They watch.
I think she's doing other things in her life,
stuff. But yeah, but. So, like, yeah, absolutely. And I've always kind of been surprised. I thought this would have been a thing that they would try and do more. Like, this is only the second time they've done it. Like, this seems to be like a fairly cool thing that you could offer as a reward. Like, hey, Survivor fans, have you ever wanted to design a challenge? Like, you would get thousands of entries for something like that.
It should be a competition brought to you by KFC.
It should be. It should be. Now, Jarrod, did you want to add anything on the challenge at all? No?
Just that if they did have everybody sending in, then we might be able to get a few different immunity challenges after the merge.
We could, exactly.
Well, they wouldn't use the ones they have to do work on. They'd only use the ones that are...
If I sent one in, I'd probably say, maybe they could stand on a bucket and balance a broom on their nose.
Genius! You're hired. You're the new head of challenges at Survivor.
Mine would be a Survivor crossword featuring... questions from past seasons.
Mine would be Tangram.
Who voted out their mum? 7 across.
Survivor Sudoku.
Mine would be Tangram. Simple.
Survivor Sudoku, you have to use the players' faces of where they finished. So Tony for 1 and Woo.
You can't have 3 missies in the same row.
I would get a lot of the old Price is Right challenges. Remember the cliff one where you had to guess the dollar amount and he'd go up the mountain and then he'd fall off with his dog?
Winko Survivor style.
Yep. Or Go Stop. Survivor style.
Exactly. That'd be great.
Survivor Theft Auto. But you wouldn't be able to show it in Target. So, yeah, you wouldn't be able to sell it there. We're going to go over some other things quickly as well in terms of the comedic moments. Keith, of course. Everything... was all about Keith. He was squeaking by. He's just squeaking by. He needed to knock the funk off him. He don't want any of my friends at the firehouse watching me do here. You know, we'll just keep this a secret. Keith can.
From his face.
Look at me. I look like George Clooney.
So does.
Oh, Keith. And what was the nut things he was saying?
What was it?
I've written it here somewhere.
And then Bane was like, the what?
Yeah. Oh, nuts. Goobers. Goobers, or whatever they were called.
Can't say I've heard that one.
Me neither. Oh, that's just my bony rib cage.
Oh, Keith,
So
if he wins, probably bottom 5 players, top 5 characters of winners.
Well,
I
again,
think. I love him. He is so good.
Going back to the Jeff Probst, an unusual winner.
Yeah, but I feel like any of these 5 is pretty unusual.
A couple of things we obviously mentioned about giving up the reward, get quickly prompted. I loved how John was like so snappy when Jacqueline was being so snappy. It's like, did I say I was keeping it?
You should have said that earlier when Riley was on.
Damn.
It's so snappy.
So snappy. And I honestly thought we were going to get like an hour of, grumpy Jacqueline. Oh, why didn't you send me on the reward? But actually they were, I was waiting, like we had hashtag Survivor. We didn't have any good hashtags this episode. I wanted them when John and Jacqueline were back at camp to have the Survivor Nookie hashtag. Maybe not.
Like, I love Jacqueline, but anytime she gets angry like that, I'm always like, ooh. I feel awkward. I don't want to say anything bad, even though I'm not there.
I love it. Like
it's always like, oh,
but the thing,
Jacqueline's mad.
But the thing that's so good about it is that, like, Rocker and Julie, it was very obvious that like Rocker was the domineering one in the relationship, and Julie kind of was used to like, oh yep, okay, honey, yes, honey. Same with like a Brad and Monica Culpepper. Like it was obvious that Brad was Brad, man, Brad. And Monica was just kind of like, yes, honey, yes, honey. This relationship, it's Jacqueline's way or the highway. And I love it. I love it. And, like, look, I think John's going to be one of these people that on a rewatch, and I'm going to like John a lot more as a character more. I'm never not liked John. But I think, like, kind of John, analysing him as a player, is a bit of a puppy dog. He kind of just does what he's told.
We will get to him, but I think he is a very good all-round survivor. But we'll get to that, because
he's very
my theory on him... Yeah, well, now we're talking about it, but...
May as well. Fuck it.
John, entertaining, character, like, we got to know him, about his dad, about his relationship with Jacqueline, the children, so we've got entertainment from him, we've got character moments. I feel like I knew John. He likes wine, all that business.
He loves
sugar! Yeah, and a player, like... Not the best. He wasn't the worst. There were worse players on this season. He's the all-round package. I think John, as a survivor, is really good. He ticks all the boxes, I think. He's not the best player, but he's got everything, I think.
Jarrod, your thoughts on Noah's statement?
I would agree with that statement. The only reason that I didn't like John was that I was hoping that he'd go home, but it wasn't that I didn't like him as a character, it's just that I kind of wanted him out of the game just for everything to sort of be a bit more wide open and unpredictable. But I think he's definitely got a very good chance of sort of returning for a future season.
Emma says no, Noah. Just no.
I don't get the John.
Dull? Emma? Really?
I thought he was one of the most entertaining people of the season over Alec and Webb.
I would love to hear Emma.
Emma, call it.
I would love to hear, like, give us some dot points about why you think he's dull. Because
that's the first time I've heard John's dull, except for from maybe Kristen, but you can't take any of that to heart.
What else have we? I loved Natalie, like, volunteering for Exile Island. She had a poor little breakdown about missing a sister. That was sad. But then, like, she comes back from Exile Island and is all like, "That's the hardest thing I ever had to do." It's like, love, you volunteered for it.
Well, you glossed over the sister thing. At this point of the game, with all these, my dad's dying, Jeremy, Josh, I'm over the winner quotes. Like, don't ask me to find your winner quotes, because this season is completely off whack. But was that a winner quote?
You would argue it is, but again, there are lots of other ones, as you were saying. Like, it's just hard to tell. Jarrod, is that a winner's quote?
Yeah, it could be. I'd agree with you. Like, there's been sort of quite a lot of potential sort of winner quotes and moments, so I wouldn't really count it as sort of outshining anything else.
I think Missy had a few this episode, though, in terms of, like, I won't quit, I will...
I wish, at that point, Natalie when all like Norman Bates from Psycho and like tried to turn into Nadia and like started cutting off her hair and like, I'm missing her, I'm going to become one with Nadia, shaving her side head and thinking she is Nadia.
I loved the Natalie, like I loved her reaction to winning. She's like, "Oh, Jeff, can I have a hug?" And then I absolutely loved her at Tribal Council when she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad I've got bloody immunity."
She's fun.
Oh, like she's gold as a character. Like, come on.
I will say she's fun, but in examination, I think Jared, you've seen her season, haven't you? Natalie's been fun this season, but she's not a twinnie. She's Natalie. Her with her twinnie is very different, and I think I like twinnie Natalie more than solo Natalie. But she's still fun. I don't know if you think they're better, Jared, together or.
Yeah, Jared, what do you think?
Oh, definitely. I think that's sort of one of the things that we really missed out, and you can tell that that's really what casting wanted when they picked them, was for them to sort of end up together, and then like you could just imagine them sort of bickering over like plans and like, no, don't play the idol, you play the idol, no, blah blah blah. Like,
we got like, you know, like, I mean, I've never seen, the only time I've seen them kind of was their pre-game interviews, and that was fun enough. But yeah, like, you know, when the whole time when she's like, "Oh, look at this what did she say when Reed like did the splits?" And she's like, "Oh, look at this bonehead," or something like that.
And if you think back to episode 1, remember when they're making the fire together? No, Natalie, that's not how you do it. You're using the flute wrong. And like they were so good together, so I'm a bit upset we didn't see them together. But if we saw them together, neither of them would be the winner. So it would be disastrous.
I'm kind of sad, and I don't know if this is just for selfish reasons, but like I'm still not aware of how the final 5 exit interviews happen for us, like whether we get them grouped together or what's going to happen. But given that she's in the final 5, like, you know, I feel as though I'm going to get like have to share her with somebody else, like, you know, her and Jacqueline. Oh god, that would be an amazing podcast. But like, you know, like when we got Nadia on the show, she was the very first one, so like we kind of got like, you know, 10 minutes of twinnie. Like I don't know, you know.
That was one of the funner ones as well.
It was the first one too, and like my stupid tribe.
Well, that's a good point that someone made on the internet. Is it would be kind of a nice bookend. Nadia first out, Natalie the winner. Like that would kind of make a good back and forth.
Yeah, is people not seeing my video at the moment? I'm just seeing somebody say video blank. I've got a weird spinny thing around my nose on my video, so I don't know if I'm having technical problems.
Well, we can't see your videos, but as long as we can still hear you.
Just Ben's internet gone again, I think. Wicked. Well, whatever, I'm still recording. I can still hear it on Skype, so that's a positive. The other thing I was just going to mention about Keith at Tribal Council, when he sits down and he's like, "Yes, sir," and he starts like talking, and just I haven't even started talking yet. "Oh, sorry." Like, no, give it to me, Keith. No, you give it to me.
Yeah, I think that was a bit too obvious from Keith. Like he was preparing a speech, but I feel like that was good strategy on Keith's part. I thought, like, to make it look like it was his move that they flipped. So the jury's probably going to like that.
Jared, your thoughts on that?
Oh, when he started talking, I was so like convinced in my mind. I was like, he's going to blow it again. He's going to say something stupid. Like his strategy should be to be as quiet as possible at this tribal council and like only speak when he gets spoken to. But no, I think overall he did like a very good job. Like he may have played it up a little bit too much, but I mean, like John didn't notice, and I thought like that everything he said was very plausible for somebody to sort of say in his position in the game.
One thing that I think really quickly we haven't really talked about at all, and I notice how Spreecast, we're just reloading it, so people listening to the pre-record of this, you have no idea what's happening, but we're trying to get back online for people.
The pre-record? Have we already done it?
That too. Just like,
is this like the Matrix?
Just like you knew John was going after the vote.
The world is off whack today.
We kind of really gelled over the fact that of Natalie's lie to get John and Jacqueline to believe that she, you know, just fucked up the vote, and they kind of believed her. I mean, I'm still kind of on the notion that was really just John and Jacqueline being a little bit dumb and naive rather than Natalie's brilliant strategy. I mean, she just said one thing and they believed it. Like,
in all fairness to Jacqueline, Goddess.
No offense. Like, she is Jacqueline. Yes, I am.
No,
back.
But she brought up that. Jacqueline brought up that. Well, what if Natalie did do it on purpose?
Yes, and then it was quickly like, Nah.
But maybe people say I'm stretching to say negative things about Natalie or whatever, but isn't that going to reflect bad on her in the jury? Because John was really hating, saying that's a terrible move to stuff up this late in the game. Like,
Yeah.
John was not respecting Natalie stuffing up at all. So does that mean she's lost John's vote? So,
Well,
sure, she got away with lying, but did she lose votes?
Well, that's also where, randomly...
Like, she looks like a worse player. Oh, you stuffed up.
They randomly show Baylor having that confessional of, oh, Natalie's a really good actor. I know that she lied. Is that going to come back in, if there's a final tribal council, is Baylor going to spill the beans? Like, is Baylor going to sell her out? Or is it, as we were saying before,
that would be
does Baylor get sent to, the jury house and she spills the beans to John and everyone, so then, Natalie's poisoned at the final tribal council, so...
Well, John probably told the jury at Ponderosa. Natalie stuffed up this late in the game by voting the wrong person.
Imagine if Alec corrects him. Well, no, John. I haven't watched...
Have you watched John's Ponderosa?
I haven't. Have you?
That kind of happens.
Oh, okay then. Well, maybe I'm just guessing. I will say, in all seriousness, Alec did very much impress me yesterday in his exit interview. He, I wasn't really... This sounds very mean, but I wasn't maybe expecting it to be that way. Maybe comparing it to Drew's earlier on in this season. Sorry.
People may be saying I'm crazy, but Alec and Wes victims of the edit, I think.
Wes, yeah, but...
I think they were both playing, and... I thought they were both playing the game, but the problem was they were so insignificant to the final win that it didn't really matter about their edit. But I thought they were still playing the game.
I just realised it is 5 to 12, and we've gone over a lot of stuff. So we should get to some other things right now. Okay, before we do, Final 5, I want you to tell me... Go through each person. Can they win, and how do they win? I don't know if this is going to be a really... Chris will be here. I don't like this game. I don't want to play this game. We'll start... Jarrod, let's start with Jacqueline. Can Jacqueline win, Jarrod? If so, how does she win?
I think Jacqueline can win in a final 3 with Missy and Baylor. I think if she has to really step up and defend herself and make sure that people know that she was making moves and it wasn't just John, as people seem to think. So I think with John at Ponderosa, that could really help her if she does make it to the final 3.
Noah?
I think she's going to have a tough time. Maybe if she gets the idol, or she happens to win a Mooney or strikes a singles deal. Even if she does get to the end, I don't think it's an insta-Jacqueline win. Maybe she wasn't respected a lot, but she can win against Baylor and Missy, but I don't think she can win any other way, and I don't think she is the winner. I think she's 5th place.
Okay, Baylor, Noah. Can she win? How does she win?
The way you said Natalie and Missy or Keith and Missy, and she's just the lesser of the two evils, or Natalie and Keith. I think she isn't respected because she's been lazy. Maybe she can argue her case. I don't think she's that well liked. And of all the 5 left in the game, I don't think Baylor is the winner either. But yeah,
should just quickly point out that we're all no doubt agreeing that it's final 3, and there's no scenario that's a final 2.
It's not a final.
Okay, good. Just to clarify that. Jarrod, Baylor.
Yeah, I think she has the furthest chance of winning. I think it would be to her benefit to have Missy go out and be at Ponderosa. I think that she's just going to be seen as a follower, firstly with Missy, and then even if Missy goes, I think people are just going to say, well, then you just followed Natalie to the end. So I don't think she really has any shot in any scenario.
Just want to quickly point out here, I'm seeing the discussion in the group here about this season. Emma, I really think you have summed up my opinion on this season, that you say the gameplay has been average, but I think it's nearly edging into the top 10 based on entertainment and unpredictable editing. I'm rewatching the first Blood vs. Water at the moment, which is a season which generally is top 10, on the cusp of top 10. And Noah and I Noah mentioned this last week and about what's better, San Juan Del Sur or Blood vs. Water. And I'm honestly, I think right now stretching that this is better than Blood vs. Water for those reasons you mentioned. I mean, rewatching Blood vs. Water, it's good in a rewatch, it stands up, but the Tyson win and the fact that nothing really budges from the final three is kind of a markdown on it. But
the thing is, I don't think it necessarily has to have brilliant players to be a good season.
That's true.
I think everyone this season has been playing the game, and no one's been brilliant, but the point is there's been no floaters, and to me, I would rather everyone playing and no floaters than two people playing and it being obvious who wins.
And it's kind of fascinating how people say it's not a good season because there's nobody playing the game. Go back.
Everyone this season.
Go back. We're so focused on modern Survivor now that it's got to be about playing the game. I'm sounding like a certain person here, but
Grandpa.
You go back and watch Borneo and the Australian Outback and Africa. Who's playing the game in those seasons? It's all about the characters and survival. If anything, this season we've talked about it a lot. We've had so many aspects of character and survival that people have been harking out for. We get it, and people hate it.
One of the criticisms that people are stretching because they hate this season is no players. I'll be quick with this, but Nadia tried to gather an all-women's alliance and vote Dale. Val had the two idol type thing. Rocker, I thought, was playing a really good game, only voted out because he was John Rocker. Drew, terrible player, but he was making moves to leverage himself further, was he not? Obviously they were terrible, but was he not doing that? Yeah. Kelly was starting alliances like that. Dale had the fake idol, tried to gather people together. Julie,
she did have some moments.
She had a few. Josh, obvious, we don't need to talk about Josh. Jeremy, obvious, we don't need to talk about him. Who was next? Reed, was it?
No. Who was next? Who was after Jeremy? Wes.
Yeah, Wes, we didn't really see it, but he had strategy. I don't care if you say he didn't. He had strategy. He was playing. It's just we didn't see it because it was insignificant. Alec, the same thing. Reed, we didn't see much, but he had the whole plan to do split the votes and all that. Who was after Reed? John, was it?
After Reed?
John.
No, it was Alec.
Alec and then John. And obviously I don't need to talk about John. So, which of these so-called players have not been playing the game? Kristen said Natalie is the only person playing the game this entire season.
She was nowhere for half the season. So, yeah.
Everyone this season has been playing the game, and there's been no disrespect to her, but there's been no Morgan McLeods. There's been no Leaf Manson. Maybe I'm just too much of a hipster, but I think
agree with that.
This season.
Every word you said, except when you mentioned Morgan and Leaf, because I won't hear bad words against either of them.
I know. So yeah, maybe I'll write an article. Who knows? But I know we're going on. But Ben, can you say the Jacqueline and Baylor? I think you should get in on this as well.
My scenario.
Just quickly.
Yeah, Baylor. I explained that before. Jacqueline. I think she's got a better chance than some people are giving her credit for, but it's. I mean, this is kind of like what Catherine was saying before about the hard to read the jury because, it's all well and good to say these things, but I mean, you and I on the very limited group of Sherry played a good game in Caramoan, and look how she performed terribly, but she got ripped to shreds.
I'll still maintain her game up until the final tribal council. I'll defend it to the grave.
I agree with you. I was one of the few shining things on a Caramoan rewatch is that Sherry really did play a good game, but it's Jacqueline. Jacqueline, I think, can win against Missy and Baylor if the couple thing plays against them, which is hypocritical, probably what I'm about to say in a moment about Missy. I think she can win again. You can't undersell the fact that John is on that jury. And if she's we've never had that before, have we? I mean, No, we didn't. We didn't have any of the loved ones from Blood vs. Water there to sell their loved ones. So we've never seen what power that can bring to...
That's going to be interesting.
Like, I mean, I think a lot of people are forgetting that we really have an opportunity here. Well, we will, won't we? No matter what happens.
Yeah. Where's John or Missy and Baylor?
Yeah, no matter what happens, we are going to have at least one person on the jury whose loved one is at the final tribal council.
Well, wait, Ben. If Keith and Jacqueline are out next, we won't. But
that's true.
But I think it's very likely we will.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got a 4 out of 5 shot that it's going to happen.
But even then, Missy and Baylor are still together at the end, so they might be defending each other.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I mean, it's yeah, but so I mean, you can't discount this fact of John's factor on the jury. John's factor on the jury this week on Fox. What? But like Jacqueline, like if it's a Jacqueline, Baylor, Natalie final 3, Baylor doesn't get any votes, more likely. Natalie could be hated by the jury, and therefore Jacqueline's your Natalie White. Like, she's the best of the rest. Like, I'm not opening that can of worms about Natalie White's win, but I mean, come on. Like, but Jacqueline's played a lot better than Natalie White. Has she? Yes, she has. But look, yeah, that bit what I said. All right, we're going to quickly go over these 3 because God, we're an hour and 26 in and we haven't even gotten to anything. All right, Keith, how does he win? Can he win? How does he win? Jarrod?
I think Keith could potentially win against anybody else. I think the jury just has to see him as likeable, which they do. It just sort of depends if they're going to base their vote kind of solely on, like, who made big moves to change up the game, or if they're going to be like, no, like, you were in our group, you got into the majority, you were likeable, you hung around long enough, you stuck it out, you probably won a couple of like clutch challenges and made it to the end, and we like you, so we're going to vote for you.
Emma says just keep spitting. Like it's kind of like the scenario, and again, people are probably going to get pissed off the way I compare this. Like Keith is kind of, you could say, is he going to be a Sophie or a Natalie White that maybe, or a Fabio that maybe like you don't expect going into that on paper is not going to win, but other people are going to be disliked more that they win, or is he going to be like, I mean, like...
Well, he's kind of like Fabio. We can debate this, but if you get down to it, Fabio won because he didn't piss anyone off compared to Chase and Sash, right? I feel like Keith kind of has with his stick to the plan. But I feel like, for the most part, everyone else in the game has pissed off more people than Keith has. He's just a lovable idiot.
And his edit, but this is the thing with his edit, and like I think you said it right at the start of the season. He's Rick Nelson with screen time, and like Rick Nelson would have won South Pacific had he gotten to the end, would he not have? So like, and like it.
Well, maybe.
Well, I mean, you know, we didn't think Sophie was going to win, but it's Keith is likable. And like again, you've got his son on there, and everybody likes Wes. And I mean, the thing that kind of irked me a little bit in that debate you were having, that how people were saying like, "Oh, Alex talked up Natalie," or everyone's talking up Natalie in their exit interviews. Alec talked up Keith. People have been talking up Keith, and that they like Keith, and they want to see Keith win. Like, what? Like it seems.
I really hope we get like a name a member of the jury, any member.
Reed.
I really hope we get a Reed doing an Eric Cardone. Just maybe Keith being the lovable spitting idiot. Maybe that is the way to play the game.
And Keith is there like holding his like, thank you.
That would be so.
And Natalie's in the background going, "Oh, fucking."
I'm the greatest of all time. My name's Natalie.
Keith, I will buy the title of Sole Survivor off you right now. You can keep the money.
Oh, how much? I'll do that.
Oh, well, shoot.
I need the money.
So yeah, Keith, how does he win? Can he win, Noah?
I think he's very likeable. He's got a good rapport to the jury. He won't win unanimously. I think we could say that for sure. Baylor, Jacqueline, Keith, he wins, I think. Missy, Baylor, Keith, he probably wins. Natalie, Baylor, and Natalie, Missy, Keith. It's going to be a tough fight, and that's my personal hope for the final 3, maybe.
What was that again? So your final 3 is, what's your hope?
Natalie, Missy, and Keith, only because they're the top 3 contenders. I'd love a Jacqueline win, but I think that would make the best tribal. If Natalie doesn't win, Keith's the winner. I think those two are the two. I can see Missy winning, but I think it's Keith or Natalie. And I guess the other thing, this isn't really answering your question, but he's the only person left who has had an edit since day one. And I think there's something to say in that, because even John, who has the most confessionals, only started getting airtime in episode 5. Keith is the only one who's been there since day one, so... yeah.
I think Keith wins by showing up to the final tribal council. That's...
Yeah, well, I did tweet today, and given more time to think, I kind of backtracked, but as soon as John was voted out, I tweeted, Natalie just lost and Keith just won the game. Which could still happen, but I've kind of come to think maybe not that. But if I had to hedge a bet, I think Keith is probably the winner of this fight.
Well, I can't remember the exact moment I said it, but there was one earlier this season where I tweeted, I think it was maybe when Jeremy went or something, I was like, and with that, Missy just won the game. So I'm still there, sort of.
I'm just still angry that my pony left, but...
We'll get to that. Okay, so finally, let's group the Natalie and...
Ben, can we hear... So, I know you're annoyed this is going on, but this is the last time we ever get to talk about this. So your thoughts on Keith, how he...
I said that he shows up to the final tribal council.
Oh, I thought that was kind of a joke.
Well, so it is in a way, but like again, I'm being hypocritical in the fact that I'll say this and then I'll say but Keith can again, this isn't an exact science, people, but I honestly, Keith is my number one on my rankings. He's my tip right now to win. I think Keith will win this game based on edit, based on other people being, having things against them, and
Jeff Probst's misquote.
Well, again, look, we've been saying this all season that Jeff Probst has allegedly said. Now we're doing the whole win news at 6.
It's kind of like
allegedly.
It's kind of like the thing when no one's actually seen the article. It's just like a word of mouth.
I heard from this guy who looked at an article once that said,
and then they Googled the article. No one could find it.
So allegedly, Jeff Probst said we had an unusual winner, and out of our final 5, would you maybe say that only Baylor and Keith are the unusual winners? Like, Natalie isn't really unusual in terms of edit. Jacqueline's not really unusual. And who am I missing? Missy isn't unusual. So, unless that's just Jeff Probst's sexism. Oh, we had an old chick win? That's unusual.
Well, she's on one leg.
Well, that's unusual. She nearly got evacuated and then she won.
She's like an Aris, but more time, no leg.
I just watched the preview episode for Blood vs. Water, and oh my god, he's so mean to Aris in the pregame. Aris is the most boring winner we've ever had.
Do you think, kind of sidetracking, do you think they'll change the last challenge to be more of a quizzy type one so that Missy has a chance, or do you think Missy's going to sit out the next 2 challenges?
Jarrod can answer that first because he hasn't spoken in 5 minutes.
Good question.
Thanks, Jarrod.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm just trying to think of...
Because otherwise it's just Missy's not even a competitor, so the battle for the final 3 is between 3 people.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking of Scout the whole season with her knee. That's a different situation, but I could see it not being endurance and being kind of one of those challenge station ones, or maybe a maze with a puzzle similar to Kagyan or something like that. They could change it.
I think I found, just to interrupt everybody, this sounds like the Jeff Probst quote.
It was from pre-season.
Yeah, so this is a pre-season interview with TV Guide. In general, he says, "This is a very unorthodox season. Some seasons just roll along and you can almost predict it. This season, I couldn't have predicted the way it was going to go. I would have never predicted who was going to win or be in it at the end. And I hope that's the same journey the audience has. Just so many weird things happen. Tribes have issues that they have to deal with me about, and they're losing things and wanting to trade for things and running out of things. It was just constant daily, what happened now? I think there are a lot of things we haven't seen in a while, and I think the audience is going to enjoy it, and I think it's going to feel refreshing and different."
So it was heavily misquoted by us and other people.
Wow.
And we're finally reading this out on the second last one.
And we've ruined the entire season for most people. Going, well, Survivor Ross has an unusual winner.
But we're all right. We've predicted everything else every time we say something on here, so...
Sort of.
But, that's interesting to read that now, because it was everything Jeff said.
Well,
Ups and downs. We did have the journey that he talked about.
We're going so sidetracked here, because I know you were sort of saying, like, I went back pre-season and read what we said about each of the people. And also the fact that our power rankings, like, wasn't Missy the only one that any of us had in the top 7 or something, or top 6?
Yeah, after week 1, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, this is how kind of... Not that our power rankings are the be-all and end-all of how this season's going to be. But,
this can't be... This is a mockery. None of our people were...
But the Survivor Oz power rankings, which are the authority on Survivor, said that they wouldn't make it this far.
Well, I'm just actually looking at some of the things that Probst has said. Maybe I should quickly read some of these.
Well, I'd just quickly say, compared to Kage-yan, Tony and Wu were the top 2 after week 1 of Kage-yan, so that says something.
Okay, actually, before I read some of these, really quickly, Jarrod, Missy and Natalie, can they win? How do they win?
I think either of them can win. I think Missy potentially gets, I don't know, a bit of backlash for backstabbing just because she was a bit closer to people. But I could see... It's really hard. I feel like she could sort of go either way. Like, I think there's potential for her to just be sort of trashed in, like, a Dawn-like way. Like, you got close to everybody and, like, you were meant to be, like, tight with these people and then you just screwed them over. But I think she's got a lot better shot than Baylor of doing well out of that pair. And then Natalie, I think she's... I'd put her, like, even with Keith at this point as, like, the front runner to win. I think those two, if they're both in the final 3, it's incredibly close between them. And I think every other scenario with Keith not there, she's probably the front runner by a fair bit.
Still, it's going to be interesting, like, if Keith and Natalie, the 2 to go before the final tribal council.
Well, based on Josh and Jeremy and all that jazz, it probably will be.
True. Well, I think if we need to keep the pattern going, Keith has to go, so then we have a final 4 of women for only the third time.
Well, that should be noted. That this started with less women.
We could have a Vanuatu style here, couldn't we, if Keith pulls off a win? Sort of, not really, because they weren't decimated until that point.
But yeah, this started with 2 less women, and now the final 5 has 4 women.
Would it be the third time? I'm just thinking out loud. So Micronesia was final 4 all women and 1 world. So it would
1 world, yeah.
There's not another season I'm missing, right?
No.
Okay. All right. Noah, what are we? Missy and Natalie. Can they win? How do they win?
If Keith's not the winner, Natalie is probably the winner. Like, I think that's fair to say. But I don't think you should rule out Missy. She's probably going to have a tough time. If she's not with Baylor, she has a strong chance. I feel like people have been saying she could be the winner from early on in the game, so I don't think that should be discounted. It could happen, is what I'm saying, but it's more... She's in the middle. She's stuck in the middle with Yul. She's like... She's not Jacqueline and Baylor. They're going to not win, and Keith and Natalie are the obvious winners. So she's right there in the middle, which is maybe a good thing. Maybe that will mean she is the winner.
I think the interesting thing we should point about Missy is that, again, our power rankings aren't the be-all and end-all, but Missy's kind of, out of the 5 that are left, Missy's been the most consistently up high. Like Natalie's...
Nick's big on Missy.
Yeah, well, exactly. Nick put a big thing in our group.
And he's the end-all, be-all.
Nick,
so.
like you know, all jokes aside, Nick is a very intelligent individual who I respect his thoughts. And Nick doesn't chime in a lot too often in our group. When he does, he's most of the part pretty spot on. So I highly respect...
When there's a random pop-up of Nick saying that Missy will win...
Well, I mean, there's you know, There's a reason why he's the most frequent contributor of features and top tens. That's because all our other Ozlets are dumb fucks, and all the other Ozlets are Drews, and Hydra, if you're listening.
Come on, this isn't the sucking Nick off hour.
Oh, damn it. I love that one.
That was last hour.
Sucking knockoff. So just quickly, Jeff, pre-game on John and Jacqueline. This season's eye candy couple, John is a Michigan State football player, and Jacqueline was named Miss Michigan in 2013. But their time on Survivor won't exactly be a fairy tale, Probst cautions. They're young and loving, Probst describes. But what's interesting is watching their relationship play out. They're a couple, and thanks, Jeff, and they love each other. But this game is hard, and give people enough time to get on Survivor. They will argue, no matter how much you love each other. There's an honesty to watching their relationship that I don't recall us ever doing before. Missy and Baylor. Missy's 20-year-old daughter, Baylor, has done a lot of self-parenting, Probst said. Really? Isn't it the other way around? There's a real clear connection between the two, but it doesn't necessarily appear that it's mother-daughter. But they're definitely a duo to watch. I think the hardest pairing in Blood vs. Water is for the parent that's playing with a child, Probst says. And when you're a mum, I think it's hardest of all. I think being a mum with your daughter would be the most difficult position to be in because you birthed her. There is no tighter connection in the world.
Jeff, descriptive wording.
If the only way you can move forward is by getting rid of your child, can you do it? Or do you just fall down on the sword and say, I just can't do it? Keith and Wes, he says, Keith is one of my favourite new players, Probst says of this father-son team from Louisiana. He didn't know the game at all. He still doesn't. So watching him learn how to play Survivor is fantastic because he has a way of speaking that you just don't see on television. And then...
Can I just quickly chime in here?
Sure, I've got one more to go, but whatever.
Sorry. Dalton Ross's interview, he says, what can you tell us about the final chapter of Survivor for this season? And Probst's first sentence is, well, in a season filled with a lot of non-players. so Jeff and Kristen are on the same board here. Jeff doesn't think there's players in this season.
I think Jeff is just Kristen. Jeff doesn't like this season. You can tell.
Yeah,
Jeff,
this is a one world.
You can tell Jeff is not keen on this season at all, and I put that down. I mean, Jeff has no bromances this season, like Keith sort of, and like Rocker went early, so like I thought he'd be all on the John train, but I don't know. Maybe he's like secretly.
Maybe he's not a wine fan.
Maybe he's got a bit of a crush on Jacqueline, and he just can't, But so finally, quickly on Natalie and Nadia, Probst says he was unfamiliar with the Amazing Race twinnies. Now that it's over, I'm glad I didn't have any preconceived ideas. I didn't know they were controversial. I just thought they were kind of lippy twins who were very colourful, racist, and had funny things to say. Not that the sisters try to hide their prior reality competition. They said in the very first episode, what we learnt from the Amazing Race is not judged by its colours, so we're not judging anybody here. We're going to wait and see what happens. And the season starts, and oh my god, the game was on. That was a really, avoiding question there from Probst. He didn't say anything about them. Like, oh, they're on the Amazing Race.
I think he secretly is an Amazing Race fan, but he doesn't want to come off of it. So, I didn't know who they were.
I can see Jeff sitting on the couch, and he's like,
Amazing Race.
Boxers. Honey, come watch Phil. I know him.
It's my buddy Phil.
And then he's watching this season. Keith and Whitney. I know them.
It's like the complete role reversal, because we always joke that Phil's the nerdy younger brother, but the complete role reversal that Phil's the cool guy.
He's actually the really cool, the ladies' man, and Probst, who's got this real persona of being like, I'm Jeff Probst. He's actually like, oh my god, Phil!
Hashtag role reversal.
Alright, I don't think we're going to have time to read any Princess Who Lost Her Nose. Shall we?
For the finale.
Well, the finale's going to go longer. We're going to be here till 1 o'clock. What are we up to?
Literally one chapter.
We're up to chapter 26. So, of course, we've just had...
Two chapters.
We've just had the dragon turning into a mummy. So... do we remember that previously on The Princess Who Lost Her Nose?
P.R. Karen was making moves.
The dragon just turned into a mummy, so that's just usually how it goes. Alright. Chapter 26. The mummy threw a torpedo at P.R. Karen. Smoke went everywhere. Cough, cough! P.R. Karen fell to the ground. That's chapter 26. Do we want another one?
What?
Chapter 27. P.R. Karen closed her eyes and when she woke up, the mummy had turned into a minotaur.
What's it shape you?
Bloody amazing fucking dragon here. He threw a big thunderbolt, and then... and that's the end of the chapter.
He's just completely, like, obliterating this poor princess.
So that's the end of the chapter. And then... Chapter 28.
Channel 7. Channel 7 school.
Am I continuing, or...?
One more, because then we got 3 for the end.
And then... Earthquake! PR Karen yelled. The castle started to shake, and the Minotaur disappeared. PR Karen ran towards the cage, but the ground cracked open right in front of her.
Huh? And then...
and then...
Alright, that's a good cliffhanger for the finale.
Yeah, Karen working that winner's edit.
Quite literally a cliffhanger, because the ground opened up in front of her, so she's on a cliff. But just quickly as well, I held that up to the screen before. That is my clergy certificate, just to prove that if anybody wants to get married, contact us before the finale, and I will gladly marry you live on air. We can do that. Maybe on our Christmas episode. Hey, I could marry people
You should marry Reed and Josh.
I could. I don't know if I legally can, but I...
Well, rules are made to be broken. We'll just do it, yeah,
whatever. We only live once. Also, no one's going to laugh at this, but I've just been putting together my Survivor Cagayan DVD. Woo! How good's that cover? Look at that. And
so you didn't go with the sucks one.
See that guy right there? He might be on the show tomorrow. Interesting. And also available in all leading retailers, The Best of the Brink on DVD for the videos of 2014, and The Best of the Brink 2014 4-disc set. Ask it for Christmas.
You didn't tell me Woo was going to be on the show tomorrow.
Woo? Yeah, Woo. Didn't you see what I was pointing on to? Imagine Woo recapping Survivor with Marty. I mean, that's Cass. That's Woo.
I want to buy The Best of the Brink.
Would you like to buy a copy?
Yep.
Okay, wicked. Well, only $58,000. You're on it. You're on it a lot, actually. There's some bits of Survivor Oz in there. What are we up to? What are we doing? What's this show? Survivor Oz. Welcome people to podcast. Oh, shit. All right.
Start again.
Yes, Noah?
Huh?
No? All right. Anyway. Let's go over our things. Jared has gone to sleep, I think. So, power rankings.
That's Alex.
Power rankings in terms of Troy Zan, myself, and Noah. Who got the closest? Who gets the points?
Not me.
Alright, so, John, you said he was second last week, so you don't get a point. I said he'd be third, and Troy Zan said he'd be sixth, the lucky bastard, so he gets 2 points for...
That Troy Zan.
Troy Zan!
Spoilers. He knew spoilers. So
Troy Zan's leading on 12. I'm on 8. Noah, you're on 6. Sandra is on 1. Sandра's just doing it as long as it's not me strategy. And
she's still putting Reed at the top.
Yes. Alrighty. So, who went in the sweep this week? His name is Noah, and you didn't even realise it until I pointed it out to you. You're still crying.
It's just last season, Trish, second last episode. Why does this happen to me?
There's a weird Yankovic song of that. Why does it?
And Nick was in the finals last season, so share the love.
I'm wanting Nick to contact me again and do what he did with Spencer last year. Oh, if Spencer wins money, you can have it. So the
share the love around.
Final 5. Rossi has Natalie. Bridget has Baylor. Joppe has Keith. Jimmy has... Of course Jimmy has Jacqueline. Let's be honest.
He's always got the hot women in the team.
And Nick has... Well, it's appropriate that Nook's got Mossy.
If Rossi wins money, shit will go down.
Oh, God. All right. We want to know the predictions, though, don't we? Ooh, pre-season. Now, Noah, of course, got his points on the board last week, so... Coming into this round, Colin leading on 5. Joppe, Paul, and Rossi on 3 apiece. Kate, and Noah, you're on 2.
3-piece chicken bucket from KFC.
2, and myself, Jared, and Julian are on 1 apiece. Okay, so, John. Who put John where? Alrighty. Rossi put John as the winner. So, just to clarify, John finished 6th. So, okay, Rossi's leading, technically, right now. Kate put him at 10th. So that's within 4. So, Kate is leading. Joppe put him at 10th. So, he is the co-leader. Colin put him at 13th. You're out, my friend. Paul put him at 12th. You're out, my friend. Julian put him at 12th. You're out, my friend. Jared, you put him at second. Oh, all right, jump on the board. So you're equal.
Sideways.
You're equal first right now, and it's down to Noah and myself.
Oh God!
Not for
Noah, you put him
Oh no!
at 10th. You are equal in the lead. So
Yeah, but you're going to sweep in.
Jared,
here, aren't you?
Noah, Kate, and Joppe are all equal first right now because you're within 4.
Stop tooting your own horn here, Ben.
I put him
drag it out.
at 8th. Woohoo!
Oh.
I finally got a point. Oh, since Nadia. I haven't gotten a point since the very first episode. Oh. So, yes.
Yeah,
So, the current standings, I'm on 2. No one else gives a shit about anybody else. So, next, well, the finale. Let's quickly scroll through this, shall we?
Can I get any points?
Can you get... Okay, well, Jared, let's just go over what you said for the final 5. So, 5th, you said Missy. Yes, you can. 4th, you said Nadia. 3rd, you said Alec. 2nd, you said John. And you said Josh was going to win. So, you can get 1. That's all right. Noah, your final 5 consisted of 5th of Missy. Hey, look, you know.
Ooh.
4th of Dale. 3rd of Natalie. Hey.
Oh.
2nd of Keith. Whoa, Noah.
I am loving
And
it.
Val the winner. All right. You've got 3 out of 5.
I'm swooping in at the end. I'm doing a
My prediction, Noah's going to win this.
Imagine if I got them all right at the end.
I've got Drew at... What the fuck? Drew at 5th? Alec at 4th. Oh, I remember that now, pre-season. Yep. Missy at 3rd.
Ooh.
Jeremy at 2nd. And Val at 1st. So, I'm pretty screwed. Just quickly going, I don't want to go... Julian has Drew at 5th. Julie at 4th. Wow. Natalie at 3rd. Decent. Val at 2nd. And Wes winning. Paul has Drew at 5th. Baylor at 4th. Natalie 3rd. Reed at 2nd. And Jeremy winning. Only one person's got...
Paul could win.
Baylor in the top 5 there, Paul. Rossi has Reed at 5. Nadia at 4. Everyone's going the wrong 20. Kelly at...
Well, we didn't know who from who.
True. Yeah, I meant... Actually, no, I didn't, because Actually, no. I don't know. Missy... No, got Kelly at 3rd, Wes at 2nd, and the winner, he said, was John. So Rossi's got no one in the top 5. Kate, this is so boring, this part of the podcast. I'm
loving it.
Val at...
wrong fast food franchise.
Kate has Val at 5, Rocker at 4, 3rd Nadia, 2nd Alec, and 1st Dale. Yep, she's done like a...
Good job, Kate. You've won.
Well done, Kate. Keep going. Yes, keep going. Colin has Natalie at 5th. There we go. Jeremy at 4, Missy at 3rd, Reed at 2nd, and Val as the winner. None of us, I don't think, have predict the winner is in the final 5. All of our predictions are gone. And Joppe has Jacqueline at 5th. Wow. Natalie at 4. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Nadia at 3. Missy at 2.
Oh.
And Baylor at 1. Wow. Joppe's got 4 in the 5 still in.
Joppe might win.
Joppe, like, he's good in his Amazing Race ones too, isn't he?
Joppe is the king of the spoilers.
Well, I think it's guaranteed that Joppe and Noah, you're getting points next week because you've got 3 in the 5. Joppe's got 4 out of 5. So who's the only one in the 5 that he hasn't got? He got Jacqueline. Who was it? Natalie.
Keith.
So Keith. Where did he have Keith? He had.
And that's his pony.
He had Keith at 15th. But there, he's got his pony. So no matter what, like Joppe's doing bloody Norwegians.
That's pretty cool, though, that everyone, minus Kate, had at least more than one people predicted. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
Next season, I'm just going to randomise all of them and not even look at any of their interviews or anything.
Random.org.
And I'll probably do better.
Mine was pretty random, because how do you predict people pre-season? Like, it's really not even anything.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I don't even know why we do it, to be honest.
For the final time this season, I can ask these questions. And we obviously have our finale ones that we will ask next week. Noah, who is the winner of Survivor San Juan Del Sur?
I hope it's Keith, but I think it's Natalie. No, I'm saying Keith. No, Keith.
Cataly. Neath.
Yes, Cataly.
Neath. I love the fact that all our viewers were down to 3. Noah, Emma and Catherine. Thanks, Emma and Catherine, for staying with us still.
The final 3.
I would vote for Catherine to win. Jarrod, who's the winner?
Baylor. No, Natalie.
12:35 a.m. on the 12th of December 2014. Jarrod tells a joke. Who? We love you, Jarrod. Who's the dark horse, Jarrod?
Jacqueline.
Noah.
Missy. Can you answer these questions too?
Oh, no one gives a shit about my opinions, do they? Keith's winning. Missy's the dark horse. And who's going to be voted out? Is that a question that we don't need to ask? Who's going 5th?
Well, might as well do the whole who's 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd.
Sure. Go, Noah.
5th, Jacqueline. 4th, Missy. 3rd, Baylor. 2nd, Natalie. 1, Keith. But that's so wrong.
Jarrod.
5th, Keith. 4th, Natalie. 3rd, Baylor. 2nd, Jacqueline. And 1st, Missy.
I should be writing these down. I did this for the Big Brother one with Kristen and I. So hang on a minute. Let me just quickly. So Noah, hang on. Just don't tell me. I'm going to remember this. So you went 1, Keith. This is great podcasting. 2, Natalie. 3, Baylor. 4, who am I missing? Missy. Who am I missing? Missy. And 5th, Jacqueline. Now, Jarrod, you said... I zoned out when you were talking. What did you say?
So, Keith, first out.
Oh, first out. Okay, all right, yep, good.
And then Natalie next out.
Wait, didn't you say Natalie's going to win?
No, 4th.
Okay. So who...
3rd, Baylor. 2nd, Jacqueline. 1st, Missy.
Alright, so I have to answer this too, I'm guessing?
Yes.
This is the best episode of Survivor Oz I've ever done. Ben writes on a pad. I don't want to say it, but 5th, Jacqueline. 4th, Natalie. 3rd, Baylor. 2nd, Missy. 1st, Keith. There you go. I'm going to hold that up to the camera. People listening to this can't hear it. Don't you love my handwriting? Catherine, how would you mark my handwriting? Like if you were my teacher. It's pretty shit, really. I mean, no one...
Handwriting is a criteria?
You used to do handwriting in primary school? I used to have to do handwriting in primary school. I fucking hated it.
Yes, and I always failed.
Learned cursive. Fucking stupid bullshit.
You have to learn how to do link writing because you have to do it in high school.
Did you...
Cut to high school. Not have to do
Next
that
minute,
at all.
computers. Did you always have to get your pen license?
Oh,
remember I lost my pen license once and they wouldn't let me write in a pen. It's like I bloody had it confiscated by the cops. You can't go without a license.
Those lead pencils.
Sorry, sir, can I just see your license? Oh, sorry, you're writing without a license. You need to come back to the station with me.
I think our pen license were kind of like a virtual pen license. I don't think we actually had the physical license.
You need a computer license now at school, Catherine? Is that how it works?
I'm still on my L's for my pen license.
All right, we need to close this out. We've been going now. We're just on the 2-hour mark. It's 12:39 a.m. The Brink starts in 6.5 hours. People really should listen to that. It's quite good. I've heard it. Anyway, recap. Spencer and Marty is happening tomorrow. I'm recording it in the afternoon my time. It's going to be a very interesting episode. We've done episodes of Survivor Oz without survivors on the line where it's like we've been across multiple countries, but I think this is the very first time I've ever done a Survivor one with survivors on the line where they're from different countries all on the same line. So I'm in Australia, funnily enough. Spencer will be in Chicago, and Marty's in London. So we're going to be doing the Hobart, London, Chicago episode tomorrow. So tune into that. If you've got any questions for Spencer or Marty relating to this episode, this season, anything else in general, send them in. I believe this is the very first time that either of them have been on the phone together, let alone an episode of Survivor Oz or any other podcast. So, they admire each other. So I'm just going to sit back and watch the man love.
Marry them.
Marry them? Yeah, hey, there you go. Good thinking, Noah Grows. Also, tomorrow you will see, while everybody else online will be posting their exit interview with John, I'll be posting my exit interview with Reed. We had
up-to-date
Survivor Oz backwards since 2014. In all seriousness, jokes aside, initially we were meant to do our exit interview with Alec and John, Reed at the same time. They were meant to be on the call together, but at the time of recording, Reed wasn't able to be found by CBS, so we had to postpone it, and therefore I'm doing the Reed interview tomorrow, and John's will be next Wednesday at the usual time. So work that out. So any last minute questions for Reed? I've already got one written down for him, so don't worry too much about Reed. But if you've got questions for John, send them in. SurvivorOz@hotmail.com.au. Find us on Facebook. You will see it all there. Our Christmas episode is happening. I've been saying this every single day. We're going to post more details about it tomorrow. It is happening on Monday, the 22nd of December, Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time at 11:30 a.m., which is for our American audience, 7:30 p.m. Sunday, the 21st Eastern Time. More details. We'll have Survivor guests. Noah's going to sing a Christmas carol. Not really. You might. I don't know. And lots of...
Why does that say 'tis the season to be jolly? Shouldn't we always be jolly?
La 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 la.
Are we only supposed to be jolly in December?
Yes.
What about January, July?
Well, good. I don't know. That's coming up on Seasons Oz. When are you meant to be jolly? Stay tuned.
We're talking jolly here on the podcast today.
Really tackling the big questions.
When is it okay to smile? Funerals are a no. Stay tuned for that.
So, are you putting funerals as a no? I'm voting yes for funerals.
Veto.
Veto the funeral.
That's coming up. Power rankings will be up. We'll have one more Oztopsy to go. Now, as of right now, we're going to say it's at the same time at 10:30 on Thursday. We don't know when Go's showing it. We hope Go will forgive themselves from playing old episodes of The Big Bang Theory for 1 week and show Survivor at 8:30. If they show Survivor at 8:30, the finale will finish at 10:30, then the reunion will go to air 10:30 to 11:30. So we will plan to go to air whilst the reunion's on, and then you can come and watch us after the reunion or forego the reunion, whatever. However, if it starts at 9:30 and finishes at 12:30, we probably might bump it to Friday. So just watch this space. It's live scheduling. Blame Channel 9. And...
Well, Catherine, it's got an exclusive.
Oh, that they will call it at 8:30. Oh, good on you, Catherine.
Our on-the-scene correspondent.
Thank you, Catherine. Our Channel 9 correspondent, Catherine Caneen, reporting there from the text box.
That's good news.
Well, there we go. So we'll be on air at 10:30 next week. There you go. Boom. Done. Thank you to everybody who tuned in live. If you're listening to us recorded.
Hashtags.
Hashtags, yes. Thank you, Noah. I'm the host of The Amazing Race Oz. I know everything. Shut up,
I
Ben.
thought I was hosting it. When did you start hosting?
Oh, I didn't know Rossi was on the line. Noah. Hashtag this episode, Survivor and Survivor Oz.
Survivor Oz, hashtag Zinger Tower Burger. This episode, hashtag.
Was that an actual hashtag, or was that just you? Oh, spitting.
That's me spitting.
Can you spell that?
CH.
As long as he doesn't swallow. Jared.
Hashtag for the Oztopsy, hashtag 11 secret herbs and spices. And for the episode, hashtag the curse of giving up reward.
I really wish there was like a KFC theme song. Like, you know, if we were talking about McDonald's all episode, we could just play Justin Timberlake, I'm loving it. Da 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 da. But like, there's no KFC jingle, is there? The chicken dance! There you go.
Ziggatown burger, twister and nugget.
So when we eventually get to the China Mega Mix, is chicken song going to be the chicken dance? Dang, 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 damn, 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 damn. Wow. That just happened.
It's late. It's late.
Yes. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on iTunes. We've got the 51 ratings. We'd love to have 52. I seriously would like to get to 60. That would be nice. Just no pressure. Stitcher, give us 1 rating on Stitcher. That would be nice. We're also on TuneIn Radio, which is good because you can tune in and listen to the radio, which is fantastic. So yeah, stay tuned. We also have some very exciting stuff coming up in January and in the lead up to season 30, celebrating 15 years of Survivor. We will be having our annual 25 poll that we have every January, where we get you to vote on something and we reveal the top 25, and I don't know if we've announced what that subject is, but we'll announce it in the coming weeks. We also will have a lot of stuff coming between now and the end of the year, as well as coming into January and then into February of season 30, so stay tuned. Survivor Oz is your one-stop shop for Survivor, blah 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 blah. Right, we're going. Jared, thank you. No, you're last. Shut up. Noah, thank you.
Thank you. I can't believe this is the last time we get to talk about Survivor on air before we know the winner. This is it.
I know.
This season's been so fun.
It is. It's brilliant. Jared, merci.
Thank ya.
Gerard, thank you. Catherine, thank you. Noah, thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you. Emma, thank you. Riley, to everybody else who tuned in, to visitor. Until next week, this has been Survivor Oz. My name is Ben. Keep sucking those oranges. Oops, wrong show. Bye-bye.